So in this video we find the Adler in parts again. I try to act inconspicuous in public and things get a little bit steamy. Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage. In this video we're not going out for a ride on the Adler. Was planning to, but had two issues. One was my brain and one was a mechanical breakdown. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that first. So packed all my gear up, got my motorcycling gear on, rucksack, camera equipment, all that kind of thing. Adler started fine, rode off into the countryside to start filming. So parked up, went through the camera bag, and the first issue was my brain. Found that I'd remembered everything apart from the video camera. So yeah, that was a bit of a waste of time. So I was going to pack up and thought about going back home, pick it up and come back out again, start again. Yeah, this is YouTube. You put bloody hours into it and sometimes it doesn't go anywhere. Anyway, by the by. So I thought, okay, so I packed all my kit up, got on the bike. First kick wouldn't start, second kick wouldn't start, third kick wouldn't start, starting to get worried, fourth kick, fifth kick, sixth kick. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Couldn't work it out. So got back off and got my tools out, went through it. Took the plugs out, checked we had spark, ignition was fine, seemed to be getting fuel, that was fine. So what was the issue with the bits of crust floating around? I had sort of drained all the tap bowl and everything before I went, there was nothing in there. And I drained it when I was parked up as well, just to double check it, and that was fine. But anyway, took the carb off, took the jets out. This is why I didn't put the cover back on. Put it all back together and eventually got a bit of life and then got it running. So I thought that was it. Thought it was just crap. So popped it back together, got it running, turned it off, packed all my gear up, got back on again, tried to start it. Eventually it started, but it took a damn few kicks and sort of, you know, seeing whether I'd flooded it and opening the throttle fully and closing and pulling the choke and doing all this to try and get it going. Got it going, so just turned tail and ran back home before we broke down again. So, but it did get me home and then started going through it. There's a lot of petrol around under the carburetor in that sort of area on top of the crankcase there. So it was either flooding or leaking. So started to take the carb apart again. I went, took the float out, and it was only when I picked the float up, I didn't notice it. Maybe I didn't notice I wasn't looking close enough. But yeah, can you hear that? Full of fuel. So the float was sinking. It was probably gradually getting worse. I think it had just gone and then started to sink. And what it is, I'll sort of show you if I can close up. You can see there, that's where it's leaking. And if you look all the way round the float, it's got these, and they're what the ladies call stretch marks, where the two holes have been pressed together, and you know, all the material's been crumpled up and stretched and all that kind of thing, which probably didn't notice when they were brand new, but with age and all the stresses, they sort of moved back out. And then what's been happening is where the float's been rattling around in the float bowl, these have been rubbing against those side rests that are cast into the body of the carburetor, and then eventually worn it thin enough that it's just cracked there. I was going to attempt to solder repair it, but that's never too successful when you're adding to the weight of the float, so you're sort of affecting that. And then the other thing is, I put Mrs. Tweed's hairdryer on it and tried to warm it up to expand the air inside and force the petrol out, and it sort of comes out in a dribble like this. But I've had this resting this way on a paper towel to try and draw it out overnight, and it's still got as much petrol in as it had yesterday, so that's going to be a lost cause getting that out. So I thought I might be in trouble because this is a Bing carburetor. Trying to find parts for old German motorcycles in the UK is pretty tricky. The Germans don't like sending stuff over here either, they're not too keen. But But went on eBay. No, I didn't. I just done general search and it took me to eBay and I found a company there. I think they're based in Czechoslovakia and they make vintage floats. So I've managed to find one, same size, same weight. It's got the weight printed on the top, which is useful. Thank you, Germans. 7 gram float, hole through the middle, same sort of spring clip retainer for the needle valve to go in the middle. So that's on order. So we can't get that going again for now. So what I thought instead is the other weekend I went down to Swanage, to the Swanage Railway and their rail and steam rally. My cousin Reese had gone down, he was down there, so he invited me along. So I popped down to see him and have a look at the traction engines. So what we'll do first is we'll start you off gently. I'll show you a picture of a motorcycle so you don't all go away running and screaming. And then we'll just have a look at the steam engines at rest, start to steam up, and then a bit of going around the parade ground and all that kind of stuff with all the sounds for you to enjoy. Okay, so sit back and enjoy. Here we go.
Especially, I think the government's doing the engines and everything has been fantastic. They stuck to the rules we've asked them to.
Tonight we've got 3 bands in there. We've got music in that tent tonight, so we've got a very good selection of bands on. So that's all coming up as well. And don't rush off home, everybody. Stay and enjoy what's happening.
was going to make you walk, isn't he? So there you go, a fine selection of traction engines in steam, and the crews enjoying tearing up and down the parade ground all day. It was a good steam fair, but I wasn't there just as a spectator. My cousin Reese was down there with his 4-inch Burrell traction engine, which he offered to take me around the parade ground on, so jumped at the chance. And it's 4-inch, so it's quarter-inch scale. It's a big locomotive, so you can get 2 people. It's got a bench seat on the back of the tender, so you get 2 adults on the back of there, and it was also pulling a trailer, so it shows you how powerful even these small ones are. So off we set, It was all going swimmingly well. We only got round the first corner when all hell broke loose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we going? Just you have to stay to the side for.
We're right at the moment. There's nothing particularly coming, but keep covering around.
Yeah, steam everywhere. What happened was the boiler sight glass broke, and so, you know, opens the boiler to atmosphere, so it all gets quite exciting. Eventually you managed to turn it off because you've got a tap at the top and a tap at the bottom to isolate it from the boiler, so that was good. But unfortunately it was locking, the motion was locking. You'd move it forward so far and it would lock, and you move it back so far and it would lock. And we're sort of in the middle of a, you know, busy showground, so we had to drop the fire, put the fire out so we didn't, you know, damage the boiler. With that done, then we took it out of gear, and a friend helped tow it off the showground so we could look at it later, and found that it was the motion was jamming in two directions over a certain amount of time. Couldn't quite see what was causing it, wasn't sure it was water pump or one of the cylinders, so we decided to leave it. This was the Saturday. He's taken it back home to have a look and see what the problem was, and the problem was the nut had fallen off the end of the piston rod on the second piston, the low compression piston, I think. So, and that had fallen between the piston and the cylinder head, so of course it was jamming at the end of its stroke, and it caused a bit of shock through the motion and through the frame and chassis of the steam traction engine. And you can see it in this slow motion shot. I've slowed it down for you. This is the moment it happened. But if you watch the handle of the shovel leaning up against the axle casing, you'll see that just before the glass breaks, the shovel moves. It sort of jolts. So it had been happily sitting there when I had the camera going all the way around. It hadn't moved at all, and you'll just see that moment when obviously the nut jammed in the cylinder and caused a shock through the engine, and caused the, you know, axle or the boiler or something to shift just enough to snap this very thin glass tube that you have, you know, running from the boiler at the back there. So that was that. Very exciting, but all sorted. He's looking at it now. Hopefully it hasn't bent anything, but you know, it's not something that can't be put right if there's a problem. So to make up for it, he took me on one of his friend's traction engines, full size 7 horsepower Garrett, built in 1910. I think what he was saying, it belongs to the same family all the way through its life, so it's sort of in a really good condition with all its bits and bobs still on it as it left the factory. So yeah, here it is, going around pulling something up the hill. And then unfortunately I was having camera issues. I did have a camera on me when I was on the footplate, but yeah, I don't know, it was taking photos instead of video, so didn't capture any of it. But somebody caught a picture of me going around in it, suitably dressed for the warm weather. There you go. And very enjoyable it was too. Yeah, standing on something that solid. I mean, everything's built out of yay thick plate all over, so it's just a huge lump of cast iron and steel in motion. Yeah, glorious. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, Reese, for taking us on it, and hopefully you'll get yours back up and running again. And yeah, I'll try and get down to another steam fair. I think he's got another one in Fordingbridge, I think, coming up. So I'll try and get down to that one and get some footage this time. Yeah, bloody technology. Anyway, so I returned home very excited, but Mrs. Tweed said, no, you're not having a traction engine. Yeah, I think it's the dirtiest I've been. No, not that. I was down there, hairy man, shorts, t-shirt, sun cream, and traction engines burning, I think, South American coal of some description. Yeah, as you can see, very smoky. When I got in the shower, it was like the Exxon Valdez had split in half in the bottom of the shower. Absolutely black. But yeah, a very enjoyable day. So I hope you enjoyed that. Just a short video, and yeah, we'll get back to it. But this is the you know, this is the fun of trying to make videos. Things happen. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a little like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time. All right, cheerio.